welcome back to Turntable Guy. On the bench today we have a dual 1249. This is a belt drive, fully automatic turntable. This one's been brought in for service, so I don't think there was anything specifically wrong with it. But I think it just needs probably the usual dual stuff, which is some cleaning and lubrication. Having a quick look at it, kind of annoying. It's missing the center spindle, so that's going to be really difficult for me to test this because I don't think I have a dual center spindle. I think I have one of these, which is the automatic thing. I don't even know if this is for a dual. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I don't think it is. I don't have the actual dual one. So, I mean, if you're going to bring your turntable to your service guy, can you please bring the center spindle? Because it's hard to test. I mean, we can drop a record on here and center it up as much as we can for testing purposes. But, yeah, kind of a pain in the butt. Anyway, to start this one off, we're just going to remove the dust cover. And we'll give it a quick once-over here to see what the issues are, if there's any issues. These usually suffer from sticky grease and that kind of thing, so we'll just quickly give it a run here. It's got a Grado F1 Plus, I think, on there for a cartridge. Okay, so unlock, 33, start. It's lifting. Okay, so you know what that means. Stoyer pimple. How about manual mode? Okay, manual mode works. Queuing. Queuing does not work at all. Well, a little bit. Maybe it's this arm lift here. Oh, that's better. There we go. Okay, so looks like we fixed the queuing. Awesome. All right, let's see if she auto returns. Okay, it's lifting at the end, but it's not returning. Okay, so we probably got a Stoyer pimple here. We'll just bring it back. Okay. Let's just check speed. It's got a pitch control. I think these are a tooth belt, and they usually are not in good condition. Pitch control is not doing much, actually. 45, 33. Okay, we'll check that as well. It's not bad. 33 is not bad. I don't know if I'm getting 45 though. And just your typical arm setup here. So, all right. So let's unplug it and see what we got here. Okay, so this one has a relatively large subplatter. Here's our belt. It's not in bad condition. Still has decent elasticity here. I usually find there's that tooth belt I was talking about there. This is pretty similar to the dual 505 series in a way. A little bit of a different subplatter, obviously, but very similar in the fact that it uses this kind of mechanism, and it uses the pulley that expands to do the speed, well, the pitch anyway. There's the 45 rung and the 33 rung here, And as you turn the pitch control, it actually expands that pulley to give you a little bit of pitch control. But things are feeling okay. So this thing will be held down with a clip. The subplatter will. So we'll just remove that. Set that aside. Pull up on our subplatter. Nicely built deck. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull this table out of the case. It's spring loaded, and it's like many dual turntables where you actually there's either 2 or 3 depending on the table, and then what you want to do is just unscrew them, and then once they're loose you want to bend them back like this so the lower portion goes forward, and then you're going to lift up, and just do that for all 3. Now I got another question before I do that though, is are the wires, no, the wires are free. Sometimes they're fastened to the chassis. Okay, now this one will come out fine. And you just pull them through the case like this. Both AC and audio cables. And then your turntable should be free. And put the case away for now. I love dual cases because I always find some kind of treasure in them, but there was nothing in this one. All right, oh, we got a full size. What motor is this? The 840. If you watch my videos regularly, you'll know that the SM840 motor actually is a troublesome motor, whereas when you start the unit, it goes into double speed. It has something to do with the line frequency, either starting at, it's a 60 hertz or 50 hertz, and it has something to do with that. And I have a video on how to actually fix that. If you, I'll link it down in the description. There is a kit available if you do have an SM840 with that problem. But under here, everything's looking pretty nice, I have to say. Usually you see a lot of horrific grease all over the place, but this one looks really clean. Even in areas like this, no issues at all. Everything's moving smoothly. Here's our main cam actuator here, and under here is the starter pimple. Why don't we do the starter pimple first? Let's take care of that. Get our auto return working. I'll zoom in a little bit. I do have videos on replacing starter pimples on dual turntables if you're interested. I'll try to remember to link things in the description. I'm bad for that. I usually tell people just go to my channel and check it out. Okay, so to remove the actuator, you just want to push down and slide out. It's nice and easy on this one. And this is where the starter pimple should be. And this is probably pieces of it right here. Little remnants of it. So it goes right on this post. You just want to get some of this crap out of here. And we're going to fabricate our own starter pimple. Right there. A little bit more. All right, so what do I use? I use a little bit of wire insulation. 14 gauge wire insulation works really good. You don't need a lot. You got to remove the wire from inside of it. So just some, I use this. This is actually my store pimple wire here. I'm going to cut about, I don't know, say 3 millimeters for now. And put that back. And oh, here it is. So that's what we're going to be working with right there. That little piece of wire. And then we're going to heat it up and we're going to put it over the post here. And once it cools down, it should turn into a pretty solid piece of plastic that's able to do the auto return again. There's lots of different options out there for you. This is just the way I do it. You can actually buy store pimples from Germany. They're not cheap. They're all aftermarket now, by the way. I do have some, but ow, that hurt. To help people out with cost, I usually go this route. I haven't had one come back yet. How long will it last? I don't know. Ouch, keep getting the copper wire in my finger. I'm gonna get all those little copper strands out of there. I think that's it. Okay, let's get our heat gun. And some tweezers, burn ourselves. We're just going to heat it up so the plastic gets soft. And then we'll apply it on the post. And then we can check to see how it works right away. And just soften that up a little bit. There we go. Start to see it kind of melt. It gets really soft. Okay. I think that's pretty good. That's going to harden up, and you just want it sitting a little bit higher than the post that it's on. Let that harden up. And let's just give it a quick try here. I don't know if we need, oh, we can't do it without the, without this. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit here. Power. I'm not sure if I need the, I probably should get the platter and belt on. I don't think anything works without it. Pain in the butt. All right, let's see what happens. We're lifting. And there we go. That's how you repair your striker pimple. And when you hit stop, it should come back. It's drying. I think we might clean that cam actuator. So we're going to clean this cam actuator here and remove some of the greases on it. Just leaving guck on the stoyer pimple there, so we're going to clean this off. And we better clean off our brand new stoyer pimple too. It is nice and firm on there, so that's good. Let's try this again. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Nice. It will shut off. It takes a little bit. The dual mechanism is a little slow. Next, we're going to do our SM840 motor. This was a big job, but it's definitely a job worth doing. And then we'll remove that belt too. So I use a 9/32 to get these off. I think they're 5.5 mil. And that'll drop your motor down from the other side. Just hang on to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of support the table here and bring the motor. This one's got a 4th screw, I think. Yeah, there's a 4th screw right here. Let's forget about that one. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get this in an angle that hopefully you can see well. Just going to remove that belt. The belt's shot. It's hard as a rock, and it takes the shape that it was last in. It barely moves, right? You don't play with the pitch control on these type of tables. So these are garbage. And I think we're good where we are right there. I think, yeah, that's a pretty good shot there. Table's upright here so we can work on the motor. There's several things you need to remove here. Number one is this little spring. You can just disconnect it and leave it like that. Next, if this is the same, a little different than the 505. 505's got a bit of a different nut on the top, so you just want to unscrew this and just remember which order they go in. So when you're pulling it off, I like to just leave it like this. There's a spring underneath, and then I just put that like that and just set it aside. And then you remove this spring here, we're going to turn it over. And I can't remember if this this black part here, if it comes off or not. I also wondered about this screw, if it's actually necessary if it's a transport screw. Okay, so let's get our screwdriver again here. Remove our bottom bearing cap. Yeah, I think this black case comes off. Has to. This is the plunger that opens up the pitch mechanism and it spreads out the different sections here of the pulley to create different speed. I'm just wondering if I should just remove the pulley, pull that down. That screw holds it in place. All right, well, here's our motor. And we're just going to lubricate top and bottom bearings. Nothing new here, nothing special. A couple shims here. This motor is a little bit different than other 840s I've serviced. I've never seen these shims before. Okay, so I'll just pull that out, and what we're going to do is we're going to lubricate the top bearing and the bottom bearing. I'm probably going to remove that. Here's our top bearing. Looks pretty dry. Bottom bearing looks very dry. So we're going to use oil for electric motors. There is a kind of felt / cloth material here. So you're going to want to put oil in those spots. It will go down. Yeah, this thing's starved for oil. And you can put a little drop in the actual bushing itself here. Like that. And then pop that back on. And then don't forget these, actually, before you do that, pop your pulley back on. It's about there. Don't go too tight. You might have to adjust it. Okay, we'll put these spacers back in here. Just kind of flip it over and do the same for our bottom. Get oil into these holes. You see it go down. And unlike the top bearing, the bottom bearing is closed, so you can actually put some oil right in there. And then drop it down. Okay. And we'll put it back together. Okay. And remember that there's this little screw here that goes into that post. And so like this. Start these. So they're in the right spot. Torque them down. Just be reasonable. Don't go crazy. And get this screw back in. Very different design than the last 840 I worked on. I wonder if this 840 is a new design and it doesn't have that issue with the speed. I didn't notice anything when we were testing it earlier, so that would be nice. Okay. All right. So this little sucker here, it needs to move freely on the spindle, and it's got a little notch that has to go in one of the lines, so it has to be able to move up and down freely. This one's a little tight, and what I usually do for that is just a little drop of machine oil, like a very little. Just like that, and work it in. And then up and down a few times like this, and then see how it really moves up and down nicely now. And that's all you want. Perfect. Okay. I think that's our motor. Oh, that spins beautiful. Excellent. Okay, now we can put back this little contraption, our pitch control. Put our spring back. And just drop this on top. Work it down, because we're going to set our speed later with this white part. And then we'll adjust the black part here, pointing towards the pulley, and then we'll adjust our speed with that, and we'll put our spring back. There we go. Good. So we can put our motor back now. good. Let's just check our motor. It's running nice and quiet. Yeah, it's silent. Spinning nicely. Beauty. All right. Now, if we look in this area here, this is a main cam. How's our focus? Focus. The main cam usually has a light grease in there. And this one, I can see the remnants of one. They obviously were going pretty light at this stage in manufacturing. They weren't slopping it off like they did slopping it on like they did in the early 70s. Probably knew that their greases were all, you know, deteriorating, creating probably issues for their service departments. So you just want to clean the channels that this grease rides in. Just with Q-tip and a little bit of alcohol. And you might need to just remove that as well. Just get in there, give that a cleaning. That's what you're going to get, right? You're going to get that yellow kind of grease. Clean all that out. Clean this here as well. And remove any big chunks like that. And that's basically the next step here. I'm going to go around and I am going to remove the grease in this area. Also goes around here. I am going to remove the grease here. There's a little bit in this area here. There's very little, which I'm really surprised about. Most of it is in the cam here. So I'm going to do that here as well. And then I'm going to apply fresh grease in all the areas where I have removed it. And that would be the same with you. Just go around and just wherever you see old grease, you're just going to want to go with your Q-tip and alcohol and remove it and apply a fresh, if you can, a synthetic grease. If you don't have synthetic grease, you could try white lithium. I don't really recommend it. I prefer like a real nice synthetic grease. But if that's all you have, it's better than nothing. The main thing is to get it out because it's going to turn to glue eventually, right? So that's the next step. So let me work on that for a little bit, and I'll come back and then we'll continue on. Okay, we're back up top. Now we're just gonna do a little maintenance up here, and we're gonna clean the belt areas. So we have nice, clean, grease-free belt friction is what we're trying to get. We don't want any grease on these areas, so the subplatter. Give that a nice wipe. And then the belt itself, I like to use a little alcohol. This one's a little shiny. So just grab your belt and then just run it through some alcohol like this. And that'll get rid of all the grease and oil and all that kind of stuff off it. Alright, then just set it aside. And then what I like to do is I like to clean the motor pulley as well. This one's a little bit more difficult to clean because it's in segments. So you just want to clean that. I don't like to run the motor with this one because it tends to grab the Q-tip cotton fibers and then it snags them in those little different sections in here. So just like that. And I like to clean this as well. And this is okay. Let's clean up a little bit of this grease here. Just put a little bit of fresh grease there. Good. Okay, I think we're good with the cleaning and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to put the turntable back in its case, and we'll do some tests. We're going to set up the speed. One thing I'm not going to do is I'm not lubricating the center spindle, and that's because this one is moving fine, and Dual used a sticky oil from the factory, so I definitely don't want to touch that right now. So we're going to leave that be. You could put an oil in here if you want, but it tends to drop down and just leave the bearing altogether. This is a specific oil, and it's still spinning nicely, so I'm not going to touch it. Anyway, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back in the case. I've put my belt contraption in here, and what I use is one of these. It's just a round belt. It's about twice the length. Well, it stretches a little bit, right? I would say it's about twice the length of the original belt. And what I do is I fold it over and double it over like this, and then I wrap it around the two ends, and you can see it here, and the pitch control is working just fine. Move from side to side, no problem. So that's what I use. But if you want OEM, be prepared to pay through the nose for one of those toothed belts. And it's something that you're never going to use, because once you set the speed on this thing, you're never going to touch it again. And I got to find which socket. I think it's an 8. Maybe not. This one's a little different. Is it a 5? Not a 5. How about a 6? Bingo. Let's go with 6. All right. So we're going to set our speed, get our belt on, which is a pain in the butt. So the belt turned out really nice. Both sides are shiny, so it doesn't really matter on this one where we run it. Okay. So we are moving nicely. What we're going to do is we're going to check our speed, and unfortunately, like I said, we don't have the center spindle here, so I'm just going to set up my phone. Hang on a second here. I got to start my phone. Be right back. While I was setting on my camera, all of a sudden the turntable started spinning all by itself. I opened it up. I removed the main switch. Switch is fine, but the safety cap, which goes across, looks cracked. And that could mean that it's shorted, and because of that, turntable's not going to shut off until I replace that cap. It's weird because when those things blow, they usually stink up the whole room, but it's definitely cracked. So watch the turntable shut down. Definitely clicks, but it's not shutting off. Very annoying. Something else for you guys to watch, though. Just going to pull this out real quick. I'll show you where that is. Let me bring you down. Okay, here's our main switch here. So when the turntable turns on, it goes up, turns the motor on, and then it goes down, shuts the motor off. So let's just plug it in. See, it's off now, and it's working. But for some reason, oh, there we go. See, now it's not off. It's got to be the cap. Well, actually, I know it's the cap because I looked at it and it did not look pretty. There we go. Switch not working. I even adjusted the actuator here, just bent it down a little bit so it's in contact. Just a little bit above that switch when the turntable's on. As you can see, it's not shutting off. So that's something I'm going to have to do afterwards. I'm not going to be able to film that. There's just a safety cap that runs across the blue and the green wire here. These come in. This is switched power here for the motor. And there's a cap that runs across 2 posts here. And that's just a safety capacitor. So they do go. So let's get back up top and we'll do a speed test. We can still do that. Just unplug it for a sec here. Belt has fallen off. I think I've put this belt on and taken it off more than any other video in history here. So I plug it back in. It's immediately on. Not shutting off. Okay. Anyway, let's still do our speed test here. We'll just kind of center that. Start up our RPM test. I'm going to kind of drop it down. All right, so we're at 30. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to put our pitch control so the little notch is facing the pulley. And then we're going to get our, what did I say this was? A 6mm socket. And I think we're going to tighten this down. And you'll see our speed start to come up until we get to the correct speed. Let's call it right there. All right, 33 1/3. And now you can adjust the pitch with the pitch control. It should be right about there. And then I'm going to go to 45, which it's not doing. Mechanism's jammed here. Oh, I think I know why. This has to be over. You can't change the speed on these unless the arm is over. Okay, there's 45. You can adjust 45 differently, unfortunately. It is what it is. I would say get your 33 on speed. Get that right where you want it. And don't worry about 45 too much. You can always adjust the pitch if you want to. A little bit off there. Center that. They were right there. I'm going to have to adjust this a little bit to get the belt to come down a little faster. So we're a little fast on 45, but not the end of the world. For me, 33 is more important. I don't have that many 45 records. So, okay, that's it. Last thing we're going to do here. Oh, and see, and now it shut off. Oh, and now it's fluctuating. And that cap was hot, like super hot. And I know it's not the switch. I checked the 2 contacts on the switch, and they're fine. Plus, when you turn it off, they're separated, right? There's no contact. It's completely open. What's shorted is the capacitor. So, okay. So the last thing we're going to test here is just sound. So we're not going to be able to do a music test here, but just checking the stylus. I got no hum, and I got sound on both channels. So I'm sure it's going to be fine. Our speed is stable, which is great. Everything's fine. I haven't set up the arm. You can see a multitude of my videos that show you how to set up an arm. And how to balance it and do your tracking force and anti-skating. Just wanted to go through that. So this turntable is 99% done. We have a bad safety capacitor on it. I'm hoping that's it. I I'm 99% sure it is because, like I said, there was a huge crack running through it, and it was discolored and very, very hot to the touch. So that's coming out. We'll go grab one of those at the electronics store tomorrow. But other than that, we did a complete service on this. Set speed, cleaned up grease, serviced the motor, and just about everything else on it. So I think this one's going to be just fine once we get that capacitor replaced. Anyway, I'm going to call it quits on this one. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next one. Bye-bye.